is Christopher Washington, and this is Engaged Community Offshoots Farm. We're a nonprofit organization that is seeking to engage the community over issues of wellness and also food security. So we're here in Bladensburg. We're about, say, 1.5 miles away from a food desert in which the people here don't have any access to fresh veggies, and we're creating a farm. One of our board members came in and built a solar array for us, which would have cost, the price now would have cost about $45,000. He was able to do it for $6,000. So he just came out here. He comes out here often and hooked it all up for us. If you step inside here and just look right to the left, there's a hot water heater. And so what he's going to be doing is underneath that blue tarp over there is going to be another solar array, and that's going to be a hot water, a solar hot water heater. And so what he's going to do with that is basically with our aquaponics system that we're going to be having once we move over to that area, you'll be able to, you need to keep the water at a certain temperature, pretty much around 80 degrees for tilapia. So that's what we're going to be growing is tilapia over there. So we needed a cheap and efficient way to do that, so we worked this plan out, so that's what we're going to be doing on that side. So right here is basically, we just got a grant that we're really excited about, that we're going to be doing a 40-foot container. We're going to move these out, and we're probably going to end up stacking one container on top of the 40-foot. So what that is going to be is actually a wash station. So it's going to be a wash station and then also a commercial kitchen on the other side, so that we can make all of our value-added products right here on site. So we call ourselves Engaged Community Offshoots because, one, we want to engage the community, and then two, we want to create these offshoots. So offshoots is what we call our network. So all of these different farmers are part, the new farmer training program are a part of our network that we're trying to create right now. So we train them, then we help them get land, and then that produce, we basically guarantee that market for them. So they don't have to think about it. When it comes time for storage, they bring it over to our cooler, which we're going to be building, our cold storage. And then when it's time to wash it, we wash it here on site, we package it up, we ship it out. So this is basically a demonstration farm of how we're going to be doing that and how we see that we can do that locally just by managing the logistics. So a ton of logistics, that's where my mind is daily, is in figuring out the logistics of how to get things from the farm to the market. In here, this is what we do, all the spinach and leafy greens. Hanging in the baskets are spinach. This is a good example of what our farms will eventually look like. So they're basically all in different stages of completion. So what this one is all of these are going to be covered with these hanging plots, We do vertical farming here, so we not only plant in our compost, like nothing is planted in the ground in here. Like just the work that we're doing over there with the wood chips and layering it and then putting out the compost, that's what we're doing out here. So nothing is going in the ground, we're doing everything in compost. And then we go up and we have these plants. So we can actually hang more plants on these so that they go down. And then we're going to be hanging plants all across here. We probably will have another bar going across with hanging plants. So this thing is going to be full of just greenery when all is said and done. But we're going to phase it in. This zip line was something that they just invented to kind of facilitate the watering of it. So, you can get a little creative out here and just, let it flow. That's how we like to work. This is some more compost that we're creating. So these are just large compost bins. Speak about compost for a second. The reason why we have that big facility, but then we're also doing it on site, is because when you create compost, it creates energy. So that energy, what we're going to be using in the wintertime is to heat up all of these things to keep it at around 50 degrees so that we're going to be growing in the wintertime. So we have this heavy duty plastic like that will eventually cover everything, that is going to block that in. So what we're doing is showing people different methods. This is definitely a demonstration farm. If we were doing full-on commercial, then we would do it differently. But we wanted to show people what was possible on varying varying lengths of a greenhouse and an urban greenhouse. Each one of these costs to build about $4,000. Back here is just some more compost. We have this is good finished compost. It's about, it's just great dirt. Like you can just take a look at it. So what we did is we have a good friend of ours that well, let me tell you guys what's in it before you guys grab it. So this is about 30% cow manure. And so we mix it all together, we let it compost, and then it just becomes dirt. So it's definitely safe to touch, but I like to, warn people before they go in. These are the bees. If you see, we're around 2 colonies. There's about, 3,000, 4,000 bees in there. And we can get right up on them, and they're not going to sting us, they're not going to do anything. Bees are actually one of the best things that you can do in an urban center. You can put it on top of a rooftop, you can keep them in your backyard. They're going to do what bees do, and they typically don't sting you. I've never been stung. Vinnie's been stung a couple times. But yeah, those are the bees. And so right here, this is going to make us about $600 when all is said and done. But you can see how it doesn't take up that much space. And if we want to, we can just keep putting them all around back. Underneath all of these, and you'll see them, this is a geothermal cooling system. So basically, it's all solar powered. So what happens is, when it gets really hot, then we turn on the fans, and so it cools off the ground temperature so that we can grow more. And then in the wintertime, we will reverse that process and we'll heat it up to keep them at a good temperature. So this was installed under here, so yeah, definitely sexy.
So did you guys all see those, or you can see them from here, those wooden boxes that are right over there? That's not where they're going to end up. But those boxes are going to, and some of them already have food waste and worms that are eating through this food waste and making worm compost. And they're not going to stay there. They're going to end up kind of where all that lumber is, in this far end of this greenhouse. And we're going to put them in these racks, kind of like filing cabinets. We're going to have 4 of them here, one here, one here, one there, one there. And we're actually going to have 4 of these racks, so we'll have a total of 16 worm bins. And like I said, each worm bin holds about 4,000 pounds of stuff, or 2 tons of stuff. We'll have a shelf kind of up here, so there'll be plants up here growing, seedlings and sprouts that we can harvest. The worm bins are going to be sitting down here in the shade of the plants above them, which is where they want to be. We're putting this pond liner down here, and you can see, it's actually a good time to see, you can see how the thing that we're stapling it to is at an angle, funneling it towards the middle. The reason why is because when you keep watering worms, the worm bins, that juicer, that liquid that comes out of it, is actually a really great fertilizer. So we will be funneling it towards the middle and draining it out into containers there, so that we can use that. So really the process is, we water up here, the water falls through the pots into the worm bins, the worms are nice and moist and happy. We do that every day, or twice a day, or 3 times a day. So there's a buildup of water actually, and that water then goes through there, becomes soaked in nutrients, and then comes out the bottom. We can then use that again at the top, or we could use that out there, or wherever we want to use it.
We're going to have a very long aquaponics system that's going to be over here on this side. So we haven't done anything. Basically what that's going to mean is that we're going to dig down into the ground over here, and we're going to create like a pond for our fish, and then it's just going to be elevated from there. So the same idea that what Vinnie's doing over there on top of those racks, the same thing that we're going to do above the fish. So the fish are going to be built down into the ground about halfway. Should be about 10 feet, so about 5 feet in the ground, 5 feet above the ground. And then it's going to be lined just how you would do a pond if you had a house, like these are things that we buy from Home Depot. And then what we're doing is we're sucking out the waste from the fish, that nutrients, it's a great fertilizer, and then we're feeding it into the plants on the top. So the plants on the top will be able to harvest, and we'll just keep going. So we'll have about 2 layers of plants growing above those fish, and those fish will be feeding them.